Solarpunk is a cozy survival crafter where you use your airship to fly between various islands floating in the sky, build up sustainable settlements, and automate most of your day-to-day tasks like mining and animal husbandry. And overall, the game does a great job of presenting its vibes. In addition, the progression is linear, making it easy to follow. But ultimately, I came away from things being a bit disappointed. The game has a lot of good ideas. I just think it falls short of executing on them to the degree that I'd expect. And so with that, let's get into things. So the first thing I like is how easy it is to follow the progression. So let's take a look at that basic loop. You start by exploring your island, cutting trees, mining rocks, and gathering plants. There's a little bit of a guided tutorial that teaches you how to use the resources that you get, wood, stone, raspberries, etc. You can also use those materials to research new technologies and unlock buildings. The tutorial guides you through the basics, more or less ending once you build a dock and construct your first airship. That's when you get to start exploring other islands. But at first, your airship can't fly too far away. There's a wall of wind blocking you. This is going to be a pattern in the future. To overcome this, you need to meet up with the trade bot at the center of the map, give him some of the resources that you've gathered from the nearby islands, purchase blueprints which you can use to unlock technologies, things like solar panels, windmills, etc. Then he will give you an airship expansion. This unlocks new islands to explore, each of which have their own resources, and the whole process repeats until you've unlocked everything. I like the idea here, but I have a few problems with the execution. The first of which is, because the amount that I can explore with any given airship upgrade is so small, it reminds me that the world itself is small. When I'm playing a survival crafter, one of the things that I like is that feeling of getting lost in the world. And on the vibe side of things, the game does an excellent job of this. More on that in a bit. But on the actual mechanics of, I have this area on the map that I don't know what's there because I haven't gone there yet, it does a very poor job. Each of the islands is relatively small. You unlock a couple at a time. So the first thing I'd do is I'd go to a new island, I'd explore it all in under a day, and okay, I know that this new island has these resources and this ore, and cool, I've explored everything, I never need to go back there, or cool, I can set up a mining base here and I'll come back later. Tied into this is actually my biggest problem with the progression system, which is that your early game progress is gated by seeds. See, whenever you gather a plant, you get the crops and the seeds. You can then replant the seeds, making it infinitely sustainable. That is good. Until you need wheat, because you need a lot of wheat to progress. The game only gives you a few seeds. I believe when I first progressed, I got 8. Since the launch, I think another has been added for a total of 9. Meaning for every harvest, you get 9 wheat. To progress to the next tier of technology, you need some wheat to unlock things. You need to give 10 wheat to the trade bot. You need to give bread to the trade bot, which requires 3 wheat each. And you need to use wheat to feed your chicken so that you can give eggs to the trade bot. All of which meant I spent a couple of hours watching paint dry, or I guess more literally, watching grass grow in a video game. There is sort of a way around this, where you can use your fishing rod to fish up more wheat. Don't ask how that works, it's just a magnetic magic. How do magnets work anyway? But this is still another slow and tedious process that incentivized me to engage with a system in the game, fishing, that I had no reason to engage with before and no reason to engage with after and did not particularly enjoy. I think the intent here is that players take the time to build up their house and make a pretty looking base, but at this early stage of the game, I didn't have anything cool that I wanted to build. Most of the cool blueprints were things that I unlocked later. And so I kind of just waited. Personally, I did not run into any similar progression blocks later, because by the time there were more resource gates, I did have all of those cool blueprints, and I just spent time building myself a really nice house. Another reason why I don't think I ran into something quite so severe later, after the wheat tier, you unlock the ability to craft seeds, which smooths out the progression curve by quite a lot. That makes me think seed crafting should be a tier 1 research, so that way you could use the crops from your early harvests to set yourself up for future success. Also, one other thing that's tangentially related here, animals eat a lot, and while there is an automatic feeder later, it's a very late game unlock, which meant that animal husbandry and keeping my chicken/pig/sheep happy was a bit of an annoying task throughout most of the game. Next up, I want to talk about the vibes. Before I do that, a quick reminder that if you're enjoying the video, do be sure to get subscribed. I talk about a lot of things, including survival crafters, RPGs, city builders, and so much more. And by the way, don't forget to leave a like while you're down there. Next up, I want to talk about vibes, because whether you're flying around in your airship, building a new expansion for your base, or simply sitting back and watching the rain on a stormy day, the game has really good vibes, which personally I think is very important if you're making a cozy game. Also, as someone who is not particularly good at building and building games, I appreciate the fact that it's easy to make an aesthetically pleasing house. And when it comes to building, one of my favorite parts is being able to use glass walls. Not only do I not have to use artificial light sources, but it makes the building feel far more open and airy without having to do some weird, janky experimentation to try to make Gothic arches in a game where it is totally not made for Gothic arches. And while I do have some complaints about the building system, mostly that it's a little finicky to rotate stuff and place foundations, overall it's not that bad to work in. Plus, a lot of the Solarpunk technology built in the energy bench, things like the giant sky turbines, look really good, especially when you're approaching your island from a distance. Though, like before, there are a couple of things that harsh the vibe and take away from the experience. The first of which is, a lot of it's skin deep. What do I mean by this? Well, I built a very nice porch with a rocking chair with a view. But I can't sit and enjoy that view. I can't sit in my rocking chair and watch the sun come up, because the rocking chair is just decorative, and you can't interact with it. But worse up, this sunroom before the deck was my original bedroom. I really liked being on the second floor looking out over all the islands. It was beautiful. And then over to the left side, I just had a more industrial area with a greenhouse and my animal pens. But I very quickly had to move it because it felt less like I was living in a Solarpunk utopia and more like I was living in an Amazon fulfillment center. That horrible noise you are currently hearing is the sound of the delivery drones. I had them near the dock and near all of my forges so that I could put all of my industrial stuff in one place. But oh my god, the noise was so annoying, and it was constant. When I was working on things, I'd hear the drone noise. When I was planning my build, I'd hear the drone noise. When I was going to bed, I'd hear the drone noise. And yes, I could probably turn it off, but that turns off a lot of the really fun and cool environmental effects. So my solution was to instead put my bedroom beneath my greenhouse and put this weird middle piece connecting the two sides of my house. That way, the greenhouse provides a nice falling water soundtrack to my bedroom, and I don't have to worry about it. Though even here the vibes are a little bit messed up, but it's on the greenhouse side because I have electric lights in the bedroom area, and they kind of shine through the floor. So now we get to the ugly, the thing that I disliked most about Solarpunk. That is that my entire time playing, I got the feeling the game was underbaked. There are a lot of good ideas here. I like the fact that the progression is linear and easy to follow. There are just some points where the devs don't execute particularly well on that vision, because you get stuck and instead of having some other cool and interesting thing to do, you're just kind of waiting around. Similarly, I like the vibes, when it doesn't feel like I'm in an Amazon fulfillment center because of the sound of my drones. And this is before talking about the bugs, the most egregious of which, at least currently, is that the last two inventory slots just don't work when you're interacting with anything. Here's me going over to one of my chests. If I want to store something in the last two rows, which are the unlockable rows of the inventory, I can't. None of these bugs by themselves are game breaking. And if this was an early access title, I think I could overlook all of them in favor of the general experience. But combined with some of the hangups that I've mentioned earlier, and the fact that there are so many of them, this feels less like a released game and a polished product, and more like an early access release, where the developer has a lot of good ideas, but doesn't quite know how to implement them. Another good example of this is the way drones work. See, early on, you mine by hand. Then you automate it with an electric drill. Then you get a delivery drone. This can be assigned to an output, whether it's a chest or your electric drill, and it'll fly there all on its own, grab the resources, then fly back to your base. That's about where the automation stops. The drone will fly back to base, but then I have to manually collect the resources from the drone. I then have to manually take those resources to the furnace, and I have to remove them from a furnace and store them in a chest, and if, say, I'm out exploring another island so this doesn't get done, well, the drone's inventory fills up, the entire system grinds to a halt, and when I do get back to my main base, instead of having a whole bunch of processed resources ready to go, I have to empty the drone, put it in the furnace, wait for the furnace to work, and then finally I can get back to building. So with that, what's the verdict? Personally, I think that Solarpunk is a mediocre survival crafter with above average vibes. If you are really into survival crafters, you've played pretty much everything on the market, then it is at least priced decently for the amount of content the game contains. Just keep in mind that your mileage may vary in terms of the bugs. With that said, if you're just looking for a cozy game, or you're not super into survival crafters, I think many other games in the genre do it better. If you're looking for exploration, I think both Valheim and Subnautica do a much better job. Similarly, if you want more RPG systems and progression, there's Enshrouded. And if you're just looking for a cozy game, I recommend Moonstone Island. In my opinion, all of these games provide a better experience. That said, I really do like the aesthetics and the vibe of Solarpunk, so I'm hoping that the devs stick with it. They fix the bugs, they improve the progression, and maybe make the world feel a little bit more alive by allowing for more interactions. There's certainly a chance that in the future, possibly with a big update, the game could be a solid recommend from me. But I guess I'll have to keep that in mind and revisit it later. That said, what about you? Do you think Solarpunk's up your alley? And if not, what are some of your favorite survival crafters? Be sure to let me know down in the comments below. Now, if you're looking for my thoughts on other games, you can go ahead and follow my Steam Curator page. That's where you'll find pretty much everything I play along with a short review. Or you can check out this video on Corsair Cove, a pirate-themed city builder that does an excellent job not only with its atmosphere, but also its core gameplay loop. That'll be up in the card and down below. For now, thank you very much for watching to the end. I'm glad you've enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one as we explore more games together.